Try to remember the last time you made a real friend. Not a coworker you're polite to, not a neighbor you wave at, not a man you once knew, whose name still sits in your phone like an old receipt. A real friend. If you're over 50, the honest answer is probably years ago, maybe decades. You didn't decide to stop. There was no fight, no dramatic falling out, no final conversation where both men understood this was the end. The men just stopped showing up. One moved away, one got busy with grandkids, one remarried, one changed jobs, one you simply lost track of, and neither of you called. Now look at your phone. Hundreds of contacts, names from work, family, doctors, old neighbors, people you barely remember saving, and somehow no one to call on a Tuesday night for no reason at all. Most men treat this as just what happens with age, a quiet, accepted loss, like losing your knees, like needing reading glasses, like waking up and realizing the room got smaller while you were busy doing other things. But it isn't inevitable, and the men who understand why it happened are doing something about it that most men never try. Here's what nobody tells you about male friendship. Almost none of it was ever built on purpose. It was built on scaffolding you didn't choose. The football team, the job, the guys on the block, the bar after work, the men at church, the dads at your kid's school. You didn't sit down and say, I am going to build a friendship with this man. You were simply standing next to him often enough, for long enough, that a friendship happened almost by accident. That is how a lot of men learn closeness, not through speeches, not through deep conversations over candles, through repetition, through being in the same place. And then, one by one, the scaffolding came down. You retired. The kids grew up. The school gate conversations ended with them. The team disbanded. The job changed, or you did. At first, it doesn't feel serious. You tell yourself you'll call him next week. Then next week becomes next month. Then you see his name in your phone one night, think, I should check in, and put the phone back down. Not because you don't care, because now the call has weight. Now it has history behind it. Now you would have to explain the silence. So you don't call. The friendships needed the structure more than you realized. Take away the structure, and most of them quietly stop. This isn't a personal failure. It's closer to a design flaw in how men bond in the first place. Men rarely build friendships face-to-face, sitting down, talking directly about their lives. Men build them shoulder to shoulder, doing something together, fixing a car, fishing, watching a game, driving somewhere. The friendship rides quietly alongside the activity. Neither man has to say much for it to work. In fact, saying too much can almost feel like breaking the spell, which is efficient, until the activity disappears. Some friendships can survive on direct conversation. You can pick them up with a phone call and a long talk. But a lot of men's friendships were built on shared context. Same shift, same bar, same Saturday game, same problem under the hood of a truck. Once the context is gone, most men don't know how to rebuild a friendship without it. There's no team to join, no reason to call, no automatic meeting place. And calling just to talk feels, to a lot of men, oddly unnatural. Not wrong, just exposed. Most men would rather fix a roof in the rain, so the friendships don't end in an argument. They end in silence. And the man tells himself it's just what happens after 50. And here, men split. Some men accept the loss and quietly narrow their life around it. They tell themselves they never needed many friends anyway. They say they enjoy their own company. They fill the space with television, errands, the news, small jobs around the house, and scrolling through things that make them feel informed but not connected. And to be fair, it works for a while. The days pass, the calendar stays manageable. Nobody asks much from you. There is a certain comfort in that. But then a bad week comes. A health scare, a funeral, a divorce in the family, a night when the house is too quiet, and suddenly the independence starts to feel less like strength and more like a room with the door locked from the inside. Then the man discovers there is no one he'd actually call, not because people don't care, because he never rebuilt the muscle. Other men notice the same fade, and instead of accepting it as fate, they get honest about what actually happened. Not, I don't need friends, but I let the machinery that built my friendships fall apart and I never built a new one. That is a very different problem, and it has a very different answer. The men who rebuild friendship after 50 do one uncomfortable thing the others avoid. They initiate. They make the first call. They suggest the coffee. They send the message. They risk the small, quiet humiliation of reaching out to someone who might say no or might not reply at all. Most men would rather do almost anything than risk that. It feels at 50 or 60 strangely like asking someone out. You can be a man who has raised children, buried parents, run a business, survived real trouble, and still stare at a simple message for 10 minutes before sending it. But the men who do it discover something. More men say yes than you'd think, because the man on the other end of that call is often just as starved for it. He was simply waiting for someone else to go first. They also stop chasing the old model, a wide circle built by accident that runs on its own. That model belonged to a different season of life. After 50, friendship usually has to become smaller, more deliberate, and less impressive from the outside. Fewer men, chosen deliberately, met with intention, not proximity, a standing Thursday coffee, a monthly breakfast that doesn't get canceled unless someone is in the hospital. A short, honest text. Thinking about you. Call me sometime. A walk where nobody has to perform. A garage chair, 2 cups, and 20 minutes before dinner. It doesn't need to look emotional. It doesn't need to become a support group. It just has to repeat. Small, repeated, unglamorous acts. That is the new scaffolding, built by hand instead of by accident. There's a line worth being honest about here too. Some men mistake being around people for being known by them. A man can have a full calendar. Golf, church, the gym, coffee with the same crowd, and still have no one who knows what's actually going on inside him. Quantity isn't the fix. A man surrounded by acquaintances can be exactly as alone as a man with none. He's just better at hiding it, even from himself. The real test isn't how many men wave at you at the hardware store. It isn't how many people know your name. It isn't how many contacts are in your phone. The real test is whether there is one man who would know something was wrong just from your voice on the phone. One man you don't have to impress. One man who can hear the sentence beneath the sentence. That is not a crowd, but it is enough to change the shape of a life. So here's the honest offer this video is making you. Not advice to get out more. That phrase is too vague to help anyone. One name, someone you used to know well and simply lost. Not a message, a call. Because messages are easy to hide behind. A call has a voice in it, a pause, a chance for 2 men to remember that the distance was not always there. The men who rebuild friendship after 50 aren't the ones with the biggest circles. They're the ones willing to go first again and again, at an age when going first stops feeling natural and starts feeling like the bravest thing they do all week. You have the number, and if you don't, you know how to find it. Nothing is stopping you but the same silence that got you here. If this landed, subscribe. Every week we look at the parts of a man's life the world stopped talking about. I'll see you in the next one.